I am Todd Nash, President of the Oregon Cattlemen's Association. I'm here today with Union County Commissioner Paul Anderes. And Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you to this point in life?
Certainly. Grew up in a timber family, middle of high school, moved to Roseburg, Oregon from Central California. Went to grade school with a enterprise rancher here, Philip Ketcher, believe it or not. Went to college, became an ag teacher, did that for 32 years, and then was fortunate enough to get elected to be Union County Commissioner. Just started my second term. Thoroughly enjoyed teaching, and I really enjoy being a county commissioner as well. Certainly different jobs, but there's some similarities.
Yeah. Well, Paul, you've been a great friend and ally, and me as a commissioner, and in this role too as leadership in Oregon Cattlemen's Association. I was thinking about some of the roles that we've taken on and some of the things that we've aligned on, and people might not even know, but elk was one of the first things you got involved with at the state legislature. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. Brand new as a county commissioner, and my co-commissioner was on her way out the door of Washington, D.C., and she said, "Hey, can you handle this?" I said, "Sure." I mean, I was really brand new at it, and that happened to be the day, it's been, 4 years ago now, that they had the video that made quite a few news outlets and social media with the elk crossing Red Pepper Road in Union County. And then the elk really set up camp in the valley floor on a lot of pretty high value crops, and ended up going to Salem for the very first time. And I realized as I was walking in the door of the State House that I had never been there. And being a teacher, I prepared a PowerPoint and gave the presentation in front of the House Natural Resource Committee. And it happened to be Oregon Cattlemen's Day at the legislature, so a number of members were in the room as well. That got finished, got introduced to Rocky Dahlem, the Oregon Cattlemen's lobbyist, and he got me in front of the Senate side a little later and gave a bridged version of that same testimony. Short story long, Representative Barreto was able to get us into a work group along with Senator Hansel, and I think we moved the ball forward a little bit. And one of the things that came out of those meetings was that we've got that general season elk damage tag, which is not perfect, but I think it's helped a little bit, especially in those late summer and early fall before it ends in end of November.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did change a few things there with kill permits and others. I think it lent toward some better rules that people are able to manage elk better than they have been in the past. And like you say, it certainly isn't perfect and it hasn't worked for everybody, but that was a good process. We lost the day there in Salem, but we ended up winning it later through the ODF&W Commission with almost identical rules as what we were advocating for. So another one that we've become brother in arms and had some success with, we're going back again, is the local meat processing. You want to talk about that?
Yes, and I mean, and you talked about friends and allies earlier. We certainly have a number of them in the State House. Representative Levy, Representative Owens, to say the least, Senator Hansel, Senator Finley, and then a number of them in what I would call that kind of Central Oregon, Vicki Breeze Iverson, Reschke, Canope, and I apologize if I missed anybody, but we were able to get that initial funding for folks that were trying to move from either not having any federal inspection or having federal inspection, trying to move to the newer state inspection. And it worked out really well for our region because Billy Bob's and Stafford and Elgin were one of the few recipients I remember right, there was $5 million.
2 million got awarded.
Sorry,
Yeah.
$2 million to be awarded, and there was somewhere in the neighborhood of over 15 million in requests. And the version that I got was that from the people that evaluated those were that all of those were worthy. And unfortunately, they didn't have that additional money to spend. But President Nash and I got to tour it the other day with a gentleman from Oregon Public Broadcasting, and the improvements that they've been able to make in that shop are really going to set them up to be able to process more, and I think higher quality with the packaging system that they've got in place, and really they're building capacity and be able to serve the producers more and get that local meat into more local hands, to include, and I talked about it in the interview about it. To me, it's a lot like the craft beer industry was in the 80s. Nobody really knew which way to go and what the rules were, and to a small degree, we're kind of making them up as we go along. But I think they're getting some really good things put together, and potentially Oregon could be the craft meat industry leader as they are with the craft beer industry.
Yeah. Yep, and that's exciting, and that bill came up again this year, and there's a $10 million ask, and you and I both testified, and I think that's on its way, and had a real positive hearing there.
And if I can jump in a little off topic, I talked about that first time I ever went to the legislature. The Oregon legislature is incredibly approachable. They are easy to talk to. If you need help writing your testimony, and they really like to hear from people that are involved in whatever the topic is, instead of a lobbyist, or even, I think to a large degree, another elected official. But it's really seamless to get into the process. Last time around, the virtual option was really clumsy, really easy now to do that. And so you don't even have to travel to Salem, especially in the dead of winter and potentially road issues. So yeah, I wanted to highlight that it's really easy to do.
Yeah. And how helpful was that? You mentioned Rocky Dahlem, our lobbyist. How helpful was that having Oregon Cattlemen's there and Rocky to help shepherd you through some of that?
Can't explain how valuable it was. I mean, first of all, put me at ease. The other was took me into rooms where I could get signed up. And again, it was a little different process then, but Rocky knew the people, knew the system, and walked me through it. Took maybe 20 minutes to get me through it. And while he was there, letting all the people know that it was the Oregon Cattlemen's Day and that there was going to be beef for lunch, and people were pretty excited about that. So Rocky is, for those of you that may not have met him, incredibly personable and very does a really good job connecting with people and able to explain the view of the cattlemen and Eastern Oregon Counties Association, which we also hire Rocky in all those processes. He's very well respected.
Yeah. So we have a number of topics to go here. Wolf compensation. Wolves weren't a huge issue in Union County when you first signed in, and you kind of thought maybe that wouldn't be a huge issue. I don't know, but at any rate, it's landed on your door now, and it's become an issue, and we advocated for that as well.
We have, yes. And one of the other things is there's a group called Association of Oregon Counties, and then we also have Eastern Oregon Counties Association, which is 15 counties east of the Cascades, without Klamath and Wasco, unfortunately, but we still work really well with them. And at AOC, we took the entire suite of wolf bills and I believe there's 5 or 6 of them now, from compensation to non-lethal methods of detractants. And Association of Oregon Counties unanimously passed supporting each of those bills that's moving forward. And that has not happened in the past. I think we're making some headway there. One of the things that I continually talk about, especially when we talk about these wolf bills that are in the Oregon legislature, is that not one of them has a lethal component. It's all non-lethal. We are trying to avoid those conflicts rather than continue to have the conflicts and then go to lethal take if that's necessary. But like you said, when I started, Wallowa County was certainly one of the hot spots for wolf activity, and that has tended to move to Union County recently. We are in the process now. We've got a permit for 2 lethal take, and they got one just the other day. And then Wildlife Services is still working on trying to get the second. I think there's been a small shift in the attitude of the on-the-ground folks, the biologists in our county anyway, and they're really trying to find solutions to get these wolves under control much more quicker than what it seemed like before.
Paul, we're going to switch gears just a little bit on some of the things that you've taken on personally as a leader, statewide, nationally. So nationally, wildfire, you want to talk about that position?
Certainly. Eastern Oregon Counties Association, AOC Oregon, Association of Oregon Counties, and then NACO is the national. And I was selected last spring to be the NACO alternate to what's called the Wildfire Leadership Council. And that is chaired by the Department of Agriculture and Department of Interior. And it's been around for a number of years. There's another one that's a committee, wildfire committee, which was just started since President Biden took office. That past President John O'Keefe is on that one. And the one that I'm on is actually going to be meeting in Oregon, and got some information just yesterday from Nils Christopherson that he had presented on the projects that are going on in Northeast Oregon. That's one of the things that I've taken on nationally. The other thing is, in conjunction with a commissioner from Wyoming, we put a policy recommendation into the National Association to expedite harvesting timber on burnt ground, whether it's burnt by wildfire or prescribed burns. All too often that timber stands and rots before we get a chance to get it harvested and run through our local mills. So those are 2 of the things at the national level.
Yeah, very important to have you well placed there. And you have a history with fighting fire. You work for ODF for Oregon Department of Forestry?
Never.
No. You work
well, actually, never is not right. I worked for him for about a weekend.
Oh, okay.
I was on a contract engine. So I did contract engines for about 18 years, and then worked for our local Forest Service on the hand crew for a number of years. And during COVID, the last thing I did working for the Forest Service locally was flying recon after lightning storms.
Okay. Well, I apologize for getting that totally wrong.
We're good.
Yeah. And then lastly, we're getting pretty lengthy in this interview here, but you have a couple more leadership roles that you've taken. At AOC, you've taken one as a committee chair, and what does that committee do?
That is Transportation and Community Development. So that has, they combined a couple. And again, we look at bills either to support or oppose or be neutral. And we've got 2 staff members that work on that particular committee that do a really good job tracking those. We've got a gas tax bill that we're looking at right now. It's called Fund Exchange, which we're trying to continue because it's good for county road departments and keeping those alive. And then we've got another just on the community development side, and I don't know that it'd have a ton of impact on your members, but it's called, I can't remember the House bill number, but it's sponsored by Representative Owens, and that's to allow farm and ranch venues to host weddings if they choose to supplement their farm and ranch income. And what it does, it takes it from a conditional use and puts it into a permanent use. And that one seems to be moving along pretty well, as well as we've been really, I believe, strong advocates for county fairs. And we've been working on that again since I started this job 5 years now. And looks like we're going to get the cap that's on the lottery proceeds that county fairs receive, take the cap taken off. So we'll get a full 1% of the lottery proceeds, which ends up to be about $250,000 a year for, or is that right? 167,000 a year additional. And right now we get 55,000. So a little over 200,000 a year to each of the 36 county fairs. And I also, in that is there's going to be a committee formed that's going to tour each one of the 36 county fairs and rank the needs of those county fairs, so we don't have to keep going back to the legislature for one-offs.
Yeah, all very much appreciated. I think the wedding venues, even there's going to be some of our members that will certainly benefit from that. Lastly, and like I said, we're getting pretty lengthy here. You've taken a leadership role with Eastern Oregon Counties Association, and you talked about Eastern Oregon Counties Association a little bit there, but you chair that or co-chair that, and you've done an excellent job at bringing these Eastern counties together that are oftentimes a little underserved. And one of the things that we've realized here in working on a forest plan and really gearing down into what are the economics of this eastern portion of Oregon, and I'm sure it falls over into other places besides just the 14 counties of Eastern Oregon. But one of the startling things to me was when we looked at that, if we were to put those counties into a statehood and pretend they were a state, there were only 2 counties that were poorer in the nation.
2 states.
West Virginia and Mississippi.
Right.
Were actually poorer than those Eastern Oregon counties that were part of that Greater Blues area, the 3 forest area that is the Umatilla, the Wallowa Whitman, and the Malheur. And that was really startling to me because we don't feel like we're poor out here. We don't feel like West Virginia, but apparently we are. That's
Yes.
where we're at.
Yep. And part of it for me was when really looking at that economic study, and it's available on the Blues Intergovernmental Council website, and it breaks out individual counties if you're interested in looking at it. But what it did for me in black and white shows what federal policy in general, Forest Service policy, and then litigation has done to our economies. And the term that comes to mind is it's decimated. When you look at where the cut was, and it's arguable that maybe that wasn't sustainable at that point, but to me, the fact that the counties that surround me, 2 of them do not have what I would consider an industrial mill when they're surrounded by national forest is really criminal, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But, and again, a lot of it has to do with the lawsuits that are filed consistently, and those are no secret.
Well, Commissioner Anderes, no secret, you're a good friend of mine. You've been a great ally, Oregon Cattlemen's. You're a member of Oregon Cattlemen's. We really appreciate all that you've done for us. And I guess I'll let you wrap up what we have here today. If somebody wants to be more effective in their community, is it helpful that how do they best I'm dragging this on.
I got it.
How do they best communicate with commissioners? And it doesn't have value belonging to a trade organization like Oregon Cattlemen's to have more emphasis there and power.
So what I would suggest is a couple of things. Pick up the phone, call them. There's information on each of the county's website on how to get a hold of them. I have tried to get back to people within about 2 or 3 days, depending on where I am. Sometimes I don't get into the office because I'm in Salem or something like that. And then the other is pick up the phone or email your state representatives, and even ones that don't represent you but may be sympathetic to your or not. I think we really need to work on getting our message out. We continually work on that, and there's not ever, in my view, too many conversations that can be had to let folks know. And like I say, appreciate your leadership and your direction that you've given. All the Roger Huffman. We've got a lot of great people in my community, in particular, that work on these issues as well as Wallowa County and across the state. But that's pick up the phone, send them an email. I think you might be pleasantly surprised on the reaction that you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in here today. And if somebody is watching this and they want to get a hold of you, they can get a hold of you there through the website at Union County.
Yep.
Yep.
P.
Okay.
Anderes at union-county.org.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming in again, and we're going to wrap this up. And with that, everybody have a good day.
Thank you.